So I guess this is what the anti-choice crowd wanted when they overturned Roe v. Wade. So this woman in Kentucky had to sue, had to go to court because her embryo no longer has cardiac activity. Because Kentucky, like Texas, has some of the most restrictive laws, reproductive laws. Women can't even make decisions with their medical doctors because of Kentucky politicians and these anti choice people. A pregnant woman in Kentucky who filed a lawsuit demanding the right to an smbortion has learned her embryo no longer has cardiac activity, her attorney said Tuesday. The plaintiff's attorneys signaled their intent to continue the challenge to Kentucky's near total smbortion ban, but did not immediately comment on what effect the development would have on the lawsuit. The complaint was filed last week in a state court in Louisville. The plaintiff, identified only as Jane Doe, was seeking class action status to include other Kentuckians who are or will become pregnant and want to have a smbortion. The suit filed last week said she was about 8 weeks pregnant. The flurry of individual women petitioning a court for permission for reproductive choices is the latest development in since Roe v. Wade was overturned last year. The Kentucky case is similar to the legal battle taking place in Texas, where Kate Cox, a pregnant woman with a likely fatal condition, launched an unprecedented challenge against one of the most restrictive smbortion bans in the U.S. I will come back to Kate Cox and do an update on her in just a moment. So, unlike the Texas case, this woman is remaining anonymous and being a Jane Doe. Her attorney believes everyone should have the right to make the decisions privately and make the decisions for their own family without politicians butting in. Jane Doe's attorneys urge other women who are pregnant and seeking smbortion in the blue state to reach out if they're interested in joining the case. Jane Doe sought reproductive choices in Kentucky, and when she could not get one, she bravely came forward to challenge the state's bans. Although she decided to have a smbortion, the government denied her the freedom to control her own body. Countless Kentuckians face the same harm every day as a result of this ban. According to court documents, Jane Doe had a medical appointment on December 8th after the lawsuit was filed, where no cardiac activity was discovered after an ultrasound was performed. She happens to live in a place where these politicians do not believe that women should have choices, and they believe that they should have to carry a fetus to term despite it not being viable, because that's the type of people that these anti choice people are. Earlier this year, Kentucky Supreme Court refused to halt the state's near total ban and another outlawing abortion within the 6 week of pregnancy. The justices focused on narrow legal issues but did not resolve larger constitutional questions about whether access should be legal in the state. Now let's talk about Kate Cox and that update. So, Texas Supreme Court sided with Ken Paxton and saying that this woman basically had to carry that non-viable fetus to term because that's what they do in Texas and these other anti-choice states. So she did have to go out of state to get the procedure done because she does still want to have children, and her doctor discussed things. And despite discussing these things and talking out the risk to these politicians, they were still like, no, you're going to be an example. And if we start letting other people have medical exemptions, then other people might want to keep coming forward and having medical exemptions. So that's what they do in these anti-choice Republican Christo-fascist states. I do wonder how this woman voted. I am very curious. I wonder if she voted along Republican lines for these pro-choice people because, not she, that's what these people think, that it's just, people that are just using it for birth control. But that's neither here nor there. She did go out of state to get the procedure. This past week of legal limbo has been hellish for Kate. Her health is on the line. She's been in and out of the emergency room and she couldn't wait any longer. So that's the reason why she went out of state, and they did not disclose where, which is obviously the best thing to do because these anti-choice people probably would have followed her. And what's wild, I wasn't expecting this. This was not on my bingo card for today. Ann Coulter slams the anti-choice people after the Texas decision. The pro-choice crowd got the unlikeliest support from Ann Coulter. The conservative pundit took to X on Tuesday to come out in support of Kay Cox, the woman whose unsuccessful fight to get a Smbortion in Texas made national headlines this month and savagely scorched the politics that denied her the right to the procedure. Ann Coulter, the pro-life movement has gone from compassion for the child to cruelty to the mother and child. Trisomy 18 is not a condition that is compatible with life. Wow. Wow. And y'all know that they came for her in the comments. This is 100% false. Compassion and caring for both mother and child, not unaliving the baby but just because the baby is or may be disabled. Trisomy 18 might be incompatible with life, but it might not be. Your view would be to condemn this little girl to death, I suppose. It's not your call to end life. And do you not think that God can use this baby's condition for his glory in whatever way he sees fit? In the Bible, God specifically gives certain people ailments that end up glorifying them. Even in death of a baby can be used for God's glory. I'm so glad that I have walked away from this establishment because they really want people to suffer. They really want people to suffer in that organization. This person says, thank you for saying this. The extremes in both directions are dangerous. We have to stop the black and white thinking and realize there's a lot of gray. I have disagreed with you dozens of times in the past, but I fully support this message and appreciate you that you've used your platform to say this. And this person says the existence of Roe camouflaged the inherent radicalism of true pro-life position. With pro-life with exceptions is actually a pro-choice position. Now that Roe is gone, that radicalism is being exposed and it scares many, including some who call themselves pro-life. So you can just imagine that the rest of the comment section was a cluster F, like basically like the first two comments. So that's the pro-life people. Now let's switch over to Florida. D from Florida, I believe her name is Diva D. She is talking about how Florida is now loosening labor laws. They want to loosen labor laws to where 16 and 17-year-olds can work in construction and roofing. So now that they have ran out the immigrants that would be working in construction and in agriculture, now they just want to let children come do the work. So if you are on my TikTok page, her video would be in the comments, so you just have to click it. And if you are on my YouTube page, her video will be following this. So stay tuned. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, and share.
If you live in the state of Florida and if you have a 16 and 17-year-old child, a teenager, I just want you to know that Florida is considering loosening the child labor laws, okay? That means that your child can be an actual roofer. So there's currently 2 bills right now in the Florida legislature that could roll back child labor protection laws. And what they want to do is that they want to make these teenagers work longer hours and actually work in hazardous professions. Maybe if we were not vilifying the non-residents in the state that was actually working in agriculture and the construction business, we wouldn't really be having this issue as much, because the problem is that they need workers. Construction sites need workers. Farms need workers. And now they're looking at teenagers as a source of employment, someone that they can pay cheaply and still do hazardous work. So hopefully you don't want this for your child. So the House bill is 49. It was proposed by Linda Cheney over there in St. Pete's, a Republican, of course, proposing removing all guidelines regulating when a 16 and 17-year-old is able to work. I swear Republicans are doing this on purpose. This is why they're hurting our school systems, our colleges, because they want to dumb down our children so they could do this kind of labor. And there's nothing wrong with that if they actually want to do this type of labor. So the school law is that the children can't work more than 8 hours on days before school, nor can they work during school hours and for more than 30 hours a week when school is in session. It also prohibits them from working later than 11 p.m. on the day before school. The House bill, listen, eliminates guaranteed half-hour meal breaks that those teens now get on work shifts of at least 4 hours. So they want to take away also their like little half-hour meal breaks. This is the Republicans and the reason why you shouldn't vote Republican, okay? And the way that this Republican is kind of wording it, she wants to make sure these kids get a skill and they make money. And that's why they're going to take away their half-hour meal break. So in order to realize who's behind this bill, and it happens to be a conservative advocacy group, Foundations for Government Accountability, that wrote this draft legislation for this Republican. In order for you to understand how money really plays into politics, this foundation gets its money by this billionaire named Richard Olheim. And Richard Olheim has given DeSantis more than $2 million within the last couple of years. This group is in Florida, but they have actually pushed this agenda on other states. So the Senate bill is 460 and is the Republican Corey Simmons from Tallahassee, Republican, of course, who wants to allow children ages 16 and 17 to work on roofs, scaffolding, and on construction sites if they receive the Occupational Safety and Health Administration certificate and are under supervision. Now, under state law, roofing work is deemed hazardous occupation in state and federal law and is generally banned for anyone under 18. Now, the only way that kids can actually work on a construction site presently is if the kids actually are in a vocational training program. That means the kids are actually choosing to be there. They don't want to go to school, and this is what they're doing. At the end of the day, this is all about having bodies and money. Listen, we know we don't have enough construction workers or agricultural workers for that matter. And we also know that we can pay teenagers less money, low wages. This is a win-win for these companies. But I'm sorry, I would never jeopardize my child or their health or their well-being just because they want to work a job on construction, unless that's something they really wanted to do. You guys have a blessed day.